to the RationalMr.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich.
All right, hello everybody. I'm back in my favorite place. It's a bit of an odd time. We'll see if anybody shows up for the live show. If not, and you're watching back later, thank you for tuning in. Gonna try to keep it to like 30 minutes today. I have a lot to do. You can see it's bright and sunny out. Actually, it's not. It looks like it's gonna rain. It was way sunnier like 25 minutes ago, and you couldn't even see my face because of the brightness back here, and the brightness in front wasn't enough to illuminate my face. So I'm glad that I waited a little bit because now you can see me a lot better. I think, I've been talking about the bull run for a while. I think we're going to get a bit of a pause. And you can see that already happening right now. I'm going to shrink myself and we're going to go into what's kind of occurring, especially in the world of crypto. Okay, let's go over here. So I always start with the S&P, but I think a lot of people are paying attention to Bitcoin right now. Hi, Min. Good to see you. You might be the only person tuning in today. We'll see. We'll see. But I don't expect there to be a lot of people. It's a weird time, but I'm probably going to do something around this time on Friday as well. I probably won't do the late night Thursday times anymore. I prefer this time. It's better for me. I'm awake, ready to go, and I think my analysis is better. So I think we will stick to this around this time, 8 to 9 a.m. In Bangkok, Thailand, Asia time, and that's around 9-10 p.m. East Coast. So it's not too late. People can watch while going to bed. It's not like if you're in California, it's only, I think it's like 7 p.m. right now. So it's not a terrible time. Everybody's off work. I don't think it's that bad. Okay, so I've been posting in the lounge of my thoughts on what's happening, and you guys know that I'm in like rally mode. However, I do believe we've got a bit of a pullback coming up here, and it's going to be a sharp pullback. You see, this was the test pullback, and we're going to get a little bit more of one. But if we look at the weekly chart, we still haven't reached my ultimate target, and we're still about 2 to 3 weeks away from peak euphoria. So we've got 2 to 3 weeks to go with this bull rally based on historical analysis. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch my other previous shows where I go through why we only have this much of a time window left. Good to hear, BP. I'll get a whole set of new people. You can see on the weekly chart, still an uptrend, right? This is not over. But every time we get one of these little like ice things that I have here, usually you get a bit of a pause and a pullback, and you can see what's happening. And on a daily chart, I can see easily a breakdown here. There's your breakdown, right? And when we talked last, we spoke last on, my last show was Thursday or Friday the 18th. We were still in full-on uptrend mode, and then we broke down. And I've been posting about this in our Discord, and the concern I have, and potential for a pullback. And my pullback, I'm targeting around this 38.2 level. This is the 38.2 of the entire range, right? So this is the low. Actually, it's like right there, and there's the high, and 113,700. Now, every day that this takes to pull back, the less I believe we're going to pull back. So we're oh, look at this, look at it dumping here. So right now I'm actually in a little bit of a short position to hedge my longs. I also sold, I'll go through everything I did, but I had a huge long in ENA that I talked about from, I had a long from down here, and I added more at around 50 cents. And then I took profits here at about 66, 67 cents on about 50% of the position. And I hope to reload as we pull back here. But anyway, getting back to the Bitcoin thesis, I see a short-term pullback to around this 38.2 level. And it matches up with my heuristic trend channel, which is around 114. So 113, 114, I think is a good buy area. Could we go back to 112? Yes, we could. It's a real possibility. But don't bet on it. Start buying earlier, because this is going to be one of these things. This is all you're going to get. You're not going to, I mean, how much time did you have for this? You had a couple hours, right? It wasn't too fast. You did have some time, and you could see how like the RSI divergence built. So normally you get a mini divergence here, and then you'll get a pump, and then you get a pullback, and you get a second chance. Look for something like this. Try to get in on the first one. If you don't, understand there will probably be a second one. That's how you play this. You should have a little bit of time. It's not going to happen within 5 minutes. I mean, there might be a liquidation spike, and then you know I always feel my best trades always happen when I set everything ahead of time. I plan it out. I've got my level I expected to hit. I've got my stop loss, and I've got my eventual target. So plan out your levels. Me, for example, I have a buy at around 1,014,500. I also have a short though. And my short, I take profit around that same level, but I have lower take profits down here, all the way down to about 112. While I'm taking profit, I'm scaling into longs. So scale in 114,500, another scale in 113,500, scale in 112,500, 112, and you know I've got buys all the way down to about 110. I don't see us going lower than this. That we're gonna have a real problem if it goes lower than that. I don't think it's in the cards. We can see here, and I'll get to the S&P. Okay, don't think I've forgotten about that. Why is this not loading? What's happening? Okay, my chart is not loading. Damn, I hate when this happens. See, it's like totally frozen. All right, we'll just go look at it over here. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Doesn't have the same drawings, but it's close enough. Let's go to a little bit of a lower time frame. So you can see on a 1 hour here, this is your first pullback right there, and then we should get a second one, right? Which brings us to only 116. It's potential, there's potential we only go that far, right? That's like a retracement area, but I am thinking we go deeper. We gotta scare people a little bit more. I think there's a lot of liquidations down here in these areas that need to be taken out before we can move higher. I don't know why this, my internet is really updating very slowly right now. And you can see on a 12-hour how this lines up with these levels. And this is the top of the range right here. Oftentimes we do touch the previous top of a range. You can see this previous high, we came down and we touched this area. This is actually quite different than where we are now at these new highs. But I could see a tag down here and then going all the way down. This is a major support, 110. So layered buys in this area. And if you really want to be aggressive, you can even put a 116, 115, and just keep layering them as you go down. If you want to get into the trade, for sure. There's no guarantee where this is going to stop. I can give approximate targets, but I don't know. I don't know exactly where it's gonna where it's going to stop. But what I can tell you is high likelihood it will go below this 114,500 level, 115 level, because they've got to stop out anyone that is long from there before it can move higher. And it will move higher. Weekly chart, still moving up. We've still got our target. We've got 2 to 3 weeks to go for peak euphoria, right? So it's end of August, got another 2-3 weeks. Keep that in mind. That's a big data point. Okay, that's Bitcoin. Let's talk about the S&P, right? It's been on an up only move for a while now. And you can see there's no breakdown yet in my RSI, still in up only mode, following this uptrend with our ultimate target up here at 66.50. But we have a 7, 8, and 9 that's come in. Last time we had it, we stopped for about almost 2 weeks. And then the next time we went up a little bit higher and then we rolled over. And the next time we immediately rolled over. So understand that this is now, you're now in the warning zone area. If you're in heavy longs, consider, taking some short-term profits. Is this the end? Is this the top? No. But it aligns with crypto in the sense that we may get a bit of a pullback here. Let's get rid of some of these. No, I don't want to get rid of that. I just want to hide it to make this more clear. This one I don't want to get rid of, visibility. Let's get rid of it on the hourly. Right now, still uptrend intact, right? No breakdown on even a 4-hour, which is a good sign for bulls. 1 hour did have a breakdown. We're having a bit of recovery. Eventually, you will move a bit lower here. I like targeting the midpoint of this entire move, right down here, around 6,300 area. I could see a nice pullback into there. Let me just go up a little bit higher time frame. Okay. Yeah, uptrend definitely intact. This is going to be a short-term pullback. Go back to the daily. Wait a second. Let's look at our moving averages. Where have we been supported on the way up? So 9 EMA on the daily has really supported things, but the ultimate support has been with this 50 day. And that lines up with around 62.81. So I would look for pullbacks in this area to get long, with final potential pullback down to here. Like the lowest we're going to go is 6,200. Not going to see it go below that. You could look for buys here and look for buys here. I wouldn't short. You can maybe put on a small hedge, but understand that this market is totally juiced with massive amounts of money. However, I did just read recently about a TGA refill happening, and when they refill the TGA, the Treasury General Account, there is a liquidity drain from the system. So that TGA refill could kind of prompt a bit of this pullback. Another interesting thing I thought I would touch on is if we look at Google Trends, right? We looked at this before. And I'm bouncing around a little bit. That was S&P. But going back to crypto, if we type, right, crypto, and we don't care about Thailand, worldwide, and we look at the past 12 months, see how it topped out July 13th and 19th, and now it's trending down again? It's exactly what's supposed to happen. So 13 to 19 was a little bit of a peak. Now, why is that? Let me go back. And we look at the others index, because retail pays attention to altcoins more than anything. Where did we top? Here was the big run up, July 13. So once we had liftoff, took 1, 2, 3, 4 days before people started to pay attention. We'd already moved from these lows all the way up here, already moved 20%. And then how much more? So once the public started paying attention, you got how much more of a move? You got another 17%. But now, since they started paying attention, you're only up 6%. I would think that we want to go down below this initial buy level that they had. So around 13 was when they started really searching. You want to further pull back all the way down to here. That's going to get them to see, oh no, I'm in the negative. Maybe it goes back down. Everyone exits, and then we can move higher again. That's something I could imagine happening to kind of get the people who started entering around here out. And we can directly see that right here, right? This is some early people, probably not going to get them, but you will get these peak buyers, July 13th to the 19th. Now you can see it's trending down. Oops, see my jellyfish. So something like that for the others index, already in the past 2 days, we've declined like 7%. And I would say about another 6 or 7% to go right here on the downside. From 300, shows how fast this market can decline. And for Bitcoin, that's the areas I've kind of talked about here, and I have alerts set. BTCD, where's BTCD? We also want to look at that. Yeah, so you can see it's bouncing a little bit here. Can see it bounce to this midpoint around 63. Maybe you only hit 62.5, but that's all it takes to get the altcoins to roll over a bit, and then we'll roll back over with BTCD again. But for now, we're still stuck in this kind of uptrend area. Look how fast that move was. That's how fast it is. Bounce, and then maybe we can keep rolling over. The real move's not going to happen. Like serious alt season will not happen unless this massive trend line formed which bottomed in 2022. Until this really breaks down, this needs to break down, and we need to go back to like 50%, 45% to see those huge altcoin gains that people are interested in. You know, even in 2024, we were at around 55%. So we're still a ways away from that. Something to keep in mind. You know, you can see on a lot of these major coins. Right here. I think this is clear breakdown on a daily chart. So you're going to get a pullback to this area to just scare out the stragglers. So July 13th was here on Solana. So probably a move down to there, maybe even like the 150s, just to scare out anyone that was long from here. Scare all those people out. Okay, S&P, Bitcoin, looked at a few coins. Is there anything you guys want to look at in particular? I mean, the big things for me are S&P and Bitcoin. Everything else kind of follows. I'm not a believer that we have to do this like crazy extensive analysis. I think it's pretty obvious. I'm trying to think, what else can I show you guys? Obviously, we can talk about things in Stockland, of course. Let me see here. Do I want to talk about anything in Stockland? Yeah, he might do that. I think the Genius Act is going to have a bigger effect than anything Powell does. So, you know, I would look into anything related to the Genius Act and how it could potentially help certain coins do very well. Something I have been watching is, wait 1 second. Oh, UNH, of course, right? Now that's not related to the Genius Act, but I've been watching it and it's pulled back quite a bit. And just been sitting down here. It's interesting. It's not loading. It would load. Let's see, UNH. Doesn't want to load. Okay, here it did. So the weekly is still not great, but I am watching for potential reversals on the daily chart. And it looks like you could potentially be seeing that here, where RSI is not making a lower low, but the price did. Actually, it didn't go lower than this ultimate low, but RSI is higher when price is about the same here as it was here. And it looks like it's kind of trying to W out. So I'm watching this, and I do think it's interesting and a potentially decent play. You're going to have to hold it for a while. I don't recommend options, but if it could, you know, have an ugly W from here, could do relatively well. Very ugly W. So that's like the top, right? And then this is the bottom. Then boom, you go all the way to 500. That's one I'm keeping an eye on. Tesla, of course. You know, I always talk about Tesla. I don't know why things are loading so slow today. Tesla on a weekly doesn't look completely bad. Completely terrible, I should say. It does not look completely terrible. And it looks like the daily chart's trying to turn around here. So we're just kind of consolidating after, like, this was our big W here, right? Like that. And this. That was your 1.618 tag and rejection. And eventually we should push higher from here. And this is our next target, around 400, the 400 level. 390 to 420 would be a good zone to consider, again, taking profits as we work our way up to this potential 580 target. And you can see that here. We get to around 490. Bummer we don't get all the way up here, but this is still a decently respectable move. Let's see how that lines up. Ultimately, I do think we'll break this high at 480. But to me, this looks great as far as setups are concerned, and this could break out at any time and move higher. So that's something I'm buying a little bit on every pullback. Like when we dumped here, I bought a bit, and when we dumped here, I bought a bit. And I'm just kind of holding it and expecting to move higher. What else do I think you guys might be interested in? So what I'm watching is called CAR. Avis, yeah, Avis. Why is it so slow today? Yeah, just straight up on a weekly chart. Not really much room for a pullback, but I'm watching it to see if it's going to start putting in bearish divergences, and I can jump on a short here. But so far, it's up only. But it looks like it's getting pretty tired. So there's your, this is basically my short here. Yeah. So I'm watching this. I do have a tiny short, but nothing huge. I want to see this start to move down, and then I'll consider entering a lot of down where you are, where it is now. Like if we even just go back to the old highs, you're down 46%. That's another one I'm watching. Potential short. CDNS. Yeah, but is it too late to do anything with that? Or are you thinking shorts? I'm never a big fan of playing something after a huge move. Like, I mean, I guess I can play the other side of it, like a bet on mean reversion, but I always think that once everyone knows about something, it's a lot harder to trade it. That's one point I'll make. Oh, I don't know what happened to this chart. It's a mess. You can see this like pullback on Link as well. Yeah, it looks like it could break down. Oh, great. Trying to think if I have anything else for you guys. It might be a really short show. I mean, we went over the S&P, my expectation for a bit of a pullback or a pause at least. Protect your capital. Crypto, similar story. I expect that wick down to the 114, 113 area and then a move higher. However, you might only get to 116, so consider staggered buys. And altcoins follow the other index, and that's kind of going to give you the easiest signal of when to buy. So, but similar to Bitcoin, you'll get your pullback to around this 270 area, which links to when the Google Trends searches for crypto really took off. Ethereum about to take alts on a drive. Yeah, I mean, you can also watch Ethereum, but it looks the same, right? It looks like it's gonna roll over a bit. And you can see the major divergence, right? It's very obvious. divergence with RSI versus price. This is like, couldn't get any more obvious than this. So where's your 38.2 retracement area? 3,200. So it could retrace right to this 30-day VWAP. Oh, why not? Probably decline more than Bitcoin. So I would watch for that. Watch for a bottoming pattern soon after. Get long like I discussed, and then you can ride the wave higher. We've still got, you know, a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks left of this rally. I don't think it's the end yet, so don't panic. And just make sure to follow your plan. Set your trade ahead of time. Don't do it last minute. Okay, I think that's a good short update. And I will talk to you guys again Friday morning and give my thoughts on, you know, hopefully by then we've had our pullback and a slight bounce, and then we can talk about going to new highs. All right. Stay safe. Careful with the leverage. Definitely don't short. Just look to buy on pullbacks. All right, I'll see you guys on Friday. Look for the summary in the Discord in my Julian Trades room, and have a great week. All right. Bye, everybody.